Welcome to our Syllable Space podcast. I'm Keith Stevenson. On the podcast, we celebrate the inspiring work of language tutors from around the world. Um, Join us, please, as we highlight exceptional educators on our global platform, dive into their unique teaching journeys, and explore how they're helping students master their foreign languages. Today, we have none other than Matt Anderson. Matt Anderson I spoke with him a few weeks ago, and he's someone who has a very unique talent. He is like, we understand the phrase multilingual, but he's like multilingual, like to like the second power, right? So I couldn't wait to bring him on to just learn more about his journey and like kind of how he stays on top of juggling these languages. But without further ado, I want to welcome Matt Anderson. Welcome to the platform. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Keith. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So, just let us know, like, how many languages do you speak?
Sure. So I say 8. I'm fluent in 5: English, Chinese, German, Spanish, and Portuguese. And then the other 3, I say I'm conversational: Japanese, Persian, and Catalan.
Oh my gosh, geez. Yeah, that's incredible. Like, tell me a little bit about your language journey. I mean, how did you become, fluent in 5 and speak 8?
Right, right. So my first exposure was high school Spanish, mandatory class. I really enjoyed it. And then I did my first semester of college in Spain. And I really felt how exciting it was to use a language in like a real environment. And that was kind of what hooked me, right? And then I decided to become a 3 languages major, did Mandarin, German, and then everything kind of came after that.
So how was your experience in Spain?
It was great. It was the first time I'd ever left the country. First time I felt like I was using a language on the soil it's from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really got me hooked. Yeah.
So without going too deep into it or too far off on a tangent, my wife also started speaking Spanish in high school, and she did after she graduated college. She did like 3 months in Spain, and to this day she's fluent. Other than you and her, she's the only person I know who took like high school Spanish and like ended up being fluent. But both of you went to Spain, so I guess that actually plays a role in the process. But yeah, that helps a lot, I'm sure. How do you manage the fluency in like all of the language in which you're fluent? So all of those 5 languages. How do you manage or maintain fluency? Like, what are the tricks of the trade? Do you have some type of routines behind the scenes that you use to keep you sharp?
Yeah, yeah. I find that every language, has its own challenges, and I have a unique relationship to each of them. Mandarin, one of the things I try to do is I keep a diary by hand, because one of the challenges of Mandarin is being able to write the characters right, and if you don't practice that, it really can disappear quite quickly. And then the other languages, I kind of see language learning like riding a bike. Sometimes my Spanish or my Portuguese lies a little dormant for a while, but I find that after a while, it comes back. It's like the structure of that language stays with me.
Yeah, yeah. Um, how has like your language journey and being fluent in 5 languages, how has that changed the way you kind of like perceive the world? Does it kind of shape your thoughts in one way or another?
For sure, for sure. And I probably can't even identify all the ways that it's done that. But one thing that I've definitely noticed is that I feel more comfortable being in a culturally unfamiliar situation, right? Because part of learning languages is being able to deal with that. You're not just learning the language, you're learning the culture, right? And so I think now, compared to years before, I'm more comfortable being somewhere and knowing that I'm an outsider from this community, and I just, have to learn to feel familiar.
Yeah. I mean, knowing the language is half the battle, right? You don't feel like, if you've ever been somewhere and they're speaking a language and you don't know what they're saying, you feel like everybody's talking about you.
Right, right.
Yeah. So knowing the language is half the battle to eliminate kind of or offset some of that paranoia. What advice would you give to someone who is learning their like second or third language and just feels overwhelmed by the process?
Yeah, I can totally understand that feeling. For me, I think it's so important to lean into your motivation, right? Lean into your interests because it's important to understand, what do I like to read in my native language? What do I like to watch or consume in my native language, right? And how can I take that to my target language so that I have an inherent motivation to dive deeper, right?
So that's that's great advice. That's great advice. I want to kind of dive into a little bit of you like as a tutor, right? What type of strategies, what you can offer a student who is looking to, maybe start their journey with a first or second or third language, but not a first, or second or third language, right?
Right.
What strategies do you use to help students overcome like common challenges when learning multiple languages, particularly when it comes to like language interference or mixing up like vocabulary? What strategies do you offer students who may be struggling with that?
That's a great question. It's also a very unique question, right? Because it's not everybody that is like me and is determined to learn, several languages. But interference is a really real challenge, especially when you're learning languages that are close to each other, right? Spanish or Portuguese, or Spanish and Italian, or something like that. For me, I've always felt like my brain keeps all of those languages in separate boxes. And so a Portuguese word, for the most part, feels like a Portuguese word to me in my brain.
Yeah.
But I do feel that when I speak, certain words that pop up frequently, like but or and sometimes those will kind of get the wires crossed for me. And so I think honestly, a lot of it is speaking practice, right? To learn to differentiate those in your brain. Extensive reading, right? And honestly, the more time you dedicate to each of those languages and understand them as concrete units in and of themselves, then your brain will gradually learn to distinguish, I think.
So, do you think you are like anybody can learn a million languages, or do you think that there's like some special wiring or some special gift that perhaps you were born with that you didn't even realize until high school, right? Do you think it's like inherent within everyone, or do you think if folks are just committed to it and practice it, anybody can do it?
I firmly think that anybody can do it. I think that, like at most things in this world, we kind of grow up or are born with maybe a proclivity to something
Yeah.
or feel drawn to something. But I think, yeah, with practice and with good methods and things that motivate you, anybody can learn a language for sure.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, that I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for me. I kind of to some degree feel like, okay, well now since anybody can do it, I've been lazy by by not doing it officially as of today. um, so how do you incorporate like cultural elements into your lessons to help students not only learn the language but also gain a deeper understanding of like the culture associated with it?
Right. Well, that's an important thing for me for sure, because culture is inextricably linked to language, right? This happens to me. I think about it a lot, specifically with Mandarin, right? Because there's a lot of phrases in Mandarin that don't have an exact equivalent, in English, right? Or would sound strange in English, right? Like in Mandarin, to ask someone how they're doing, or as just a simple greeting, you can just say, 你吃饱了没? Like, have you eaten, right? Which would sound like a strange way to say, how are you in English? But, you know, and I think those moments where those come up in class are really, can be very informative, right? About the culture you're learning about.
Yeah, yeah. Can you share a success story that you've had with someone, a student, or just someone who you've kind of helped along their kind of language journey? Can you just share what type of approach maybe that you use to help them attain their language goals?
Absolutely. I've had several students that I've shared one of my own strategies with. You know, I'm a huge believer in extensive reading, in reading in your target language and looking up as little vocabulary as possible and just reading continuously for more input. Because that was kind of what I was stuck on when I was learning Mandarin and I was trying to get to a more advanced level in Mandarin. And once I just read that one book from cover to cover, I like gained the confidence and I said, I can read in Mandarin. I can develop literacy in Mandarin. And I've seen that work for some of my students too. It was kind of their spark to ascend to another level.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, last question: what do you want to do with all these languages, man, that you have in your brain? Right? Do you you know what's the ultimate goal?
Well, personally, I think it would be really cool to get to 10 languages. 10 would be a great number, if only just for the clout of it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. But besides that, I mean, I really treasure the languages I've come to know already. And really what I want to do is I want to teach. You know, I want to help other people discover these languages and discover that Mandarin can seem intimidating, but really isn't that intimidating and can bring so much rewards.
That's awesome. So, Matt, I want to thank you for your time this afternoon. It's a pleasure interviewing you. Just for the audience, Matt Anderson is available on the Syllable Space platform. He's looking to support you and tutor you in a variety in multiple languages. So if you liked anything that you heard today, please like, share the video. Our goal is to promote language journeys and individuals who are supporting language journeys as far as we can. So we want to maximize that reach. So again, Matt, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and I look forward to having you work with folks around the world on the Syllable Space platform. So awesome.
Thanks for today, Keith.
All right. So long. Have a great day.
You too.
Yep.